will think is here goes some liberal jumping on the what's it, the dog pile wagon. You know, we're gonna spend every day. We hate Elon. Elon's a right winger, and he's gonna ruin Twitter and the Earth. Whatever, right? Um, I don't make decisions based on emotions, right? Ben Shapiro says facts over feelings, but when you actually look at the stuff that he says, it's more or less a slogan. But I'm the genuine facts over feelings guy, which is why I don't have to actually say that. I don't need a slogan, right? I demonstrate it by action. So this has nothing to do with Elon. I could give a rat's ass about Elon. So it's not me hating on Elon or I'm mad because he bought the platform. Um, I would short sell Twitter based purely on logic and facts. Elon, I gotta first qualify. There was a time that I fell for Jordan Peterson. I got roped in. Um, the thing that caught my eye was his interview tactics. I get very, very annoyed with weak interviews. I saw one today. People go on these interviews and they say some ridiculous things or they say things that are not true and they get away with it, right? And vice versa, right? Someone goes on a show and the person is sort of biased against them and they try to twist their words and they get away with it. So I like the way Jordan Peterson would jump on them like, nah, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. And I said, hell yeah, that's what we need. Then he starts crying and crying and crying and I start listening closely to what he's saying and I'm just kind of like, what? Right? Because again, I don't go based on emotion. So even though I had a good feeling from watching on the interviews, right? That was emotion, but I wasn't gonna make decisions based on that feeling. Oh, I like this guy, I like how he interviews, so I'm just gonna get sucked in. No, I appreciated what he did, but I wasn't caught up, right? So since I wasn't caught up, I could actually hear the words that he's saying rather than feel what he wants me to feel, right? And when I listen to the words he's saying, I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Right? Um, there was a time that I got caught up in Elon's spell. I'm a gadget guy. I love technology. Um, I even thought of putting a down payment on his car that he's coming out with, the was it, Roadster or something, which still hasn't come out. I'm gonna get into that. I like the idea of the car. I test drove one of his Teslas back in the day. I was impressed with it for the most part. But again, I don't go based on emotion, right? I like the guy, right? That's a feeling. I didn't like him based on I made an assessment or analysis of him. No, I like what he was doing. I like technology. He's a tech guy. I like the kind of like, he seemed kind of a little bit of a rebel, like he's doing his own thing. And I'm kind of an outsider. I do my own thing, right? I don't really follow, uh, you know, the pack, or I want to do what everyone else is doing. I do my own thing, right? And I looked at him, so there was that kind of a connection where it's kind of like, wow, I respect this guy. I respect what he's doing. This is cool, right? But then again, I don't get caught up in emotions, so I keep paying attention. Started watching what he's doing, and I started to see a pattern of behavior, a pattern of, him saying things that really did. It seems like he like, let's say, scam artist vibes, right? Started to get the scam artist vibes, right? I was very, very. I paid a lot of attention to people like Ty Lopez, and I see a lot of Ty Lopez in Elon Musk. Ty Lopez has been very successful, right, as a result of his schemes and the way he manipulates his audience. I see a lot of manipulation from Elon. I see a lot of hypocrisy. I see a lot of, you know, um, him saying one thing, doing another. He's all about free speech unless the free speech is something that he doesn't like, then all of a sudden he's totally fine with censoring, right? Um, and when I started looking at this and I started looking at his track record of the promises he's made, oh, next year we're gonna do this, oh, next year, right? Remember he said something about he's gonna be fully the car's gonna be fully autonomous, and it was like in a year or 2 years, or something like that. And he made all these claims like years and years ago. And if you look at what he claimed years and years ago, and you look at the reality today, you know clearly what he was saying wasn't accurate, right? Because if you made claims that you were so advanced with your autonomous driving technology years and years ago, and then here we are, 2022, and we watch your cars stumbling around to navigate through just a parking lot. Like 2022, with all the technology that we have, all the types of sensors, look at what, like, for example, DJI, able obstacle avoidance at high speeds now. They're getting higher and higher speeds where they can fly and avoid obstacles. They got, they have products that can see, infrared and all kinds of things, cameras all over the place, GPS, this, backup, whatever. They got the new visor technology that's like, I think it's like HD. I mean, it's amazing stuff, right? And this guy's been doing this for quite a while. He made all these bold claims years ago, and yet with all the technology we have, and this is he's the guy, right? I see his car stumbling through a parking lot. Like, I mean, this most basic obstacle course, shall we say, and it's like stuck in the middle of the road, and I'm just like, what is going on, bro? And again, we look at what claims that he made years and years ago. Like, he would say, like, oh, we're really close to blah blah blah, wherever, and he's saying stuff that's like, wow, that's amazing. Not demonstrating it, saying it, right? So he made us think that he was way further along than he was. But this is years and years later. So by now we would see even half of what he, sort of gave us the impression that he had going. But now we look at the reality of how far he's come, and we can know if this is where he's at today, then he definitely wasn't where he claimed to be years ago. And we've seen this pattern multiple times. Now, some people would look and say, you know, for me to just call him a scam artist, like as if he hasn't done anything, and they say, look at SpaceX and all this kind of stuff. I'm well aware of his accomplishments, but are you really fully aware of his accomplishments? For example, how did he start with the cars? Was it really his idea? Right? Was there something shady, Facebook like, that he did? Was there another car manufacturer that he may have done some shady stuff and maybe borrowed some stuff? Like, was that something like that went down? Right? The guy is not very trustworthy, not very consistent. He's erratic. He is a little bit of I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I think ultimately he has become a cult of personality. And in this country, that's one of the downfalls of America. We are obsessed with cults of personalities. Dr. Fauci, Donald Trump, Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk, Obama, right? We are a nation of people so emotional, and many of us so gullible, that it's like there's many, many cults in this country. Like, we are a cult, we're a nation of cults. Actual traditional cults, and then we have these cults of personalities. We get caught up. Like, even look at the left, a lot of people on the left and liberal, like, they're waiting around for a cult of personality to save them. Right now, there's this red wave coming. They know what that means, and it's very, very destructive to the things that they claim to care about. But yet, rather than them being out in the streets in great numbers, fighting and making their voices heard. When I say fighting, I mean protesting, boycotting, doing their left wing trucker protest, right? Rather than doing that, they're happy just tweeting out stuff because they they would rather wait for a cult of personality to save them. Bernie Sanders 2.0, Obama 2.0, some charismatic person that's going to ride in on a white horse and he's going to, basically magically have all these progressive policies manifested, right? They still haven't gotten the message that they're not going to get anything that they don't themselves fight for. This is a self service country. Democratic Republic. Democracy is self service. But they still don't get that message, even though we have a past of this concept where a lot of things we benefit from today, they were fought for, right? Um, Elon is yet another of the many cult of personalities in this country. If you look, there's people who they like basically worship this guy. Um, People get caught up in his rhetoric and whatever. So if he's designing a business that's all about marketing, something where, like, look at Donald Trump, not the sharpest guy out there, but he's very good with marketing to a particular demographic. So he's able to, without any experience, do something as amazing as win the presidency. How did he pull that off, right? Because he had a very particular skill set that was very applicable. This cult of personality, ability to tap into the emotions. People to this day many people still think he's like the greatest president. He's the greatest person. Um, like he just put a spell on them that they can't get rid of. Look at Obama. I look at some of my liberal family members, and I keep running into like Obama posters. 2022, still don't get it. And then you try to tell them the truth about Obama, and they're not hearing it, right? Cult of personality. Elon is a cult of personality, and there's many people who doesn't matter what evidence or facts I present, they will not. Similar to the Trump cult, similar to the Obama cult, similar to the Fauci cult. No matter what I say about Elon, they're not. No, you just hate him because of blah blah blah, and you liberals, right? They got websites dedicated to Elon. They got YouTubers who post nothing but Elon this and anything Elon. Oh, he's gonna build a tunnel, right? And he keeps doing stuff and making claims, and he doesn't deliver. But just like Trump, he's Teflon Don, right? Teflon Elon. He doesn't get any damage because people are just like they worship this guy as some kind of a techno god. So what does that have to do with me shorting Twitter? Well, like I said, number one, I don't trust a lot of stuff that he says. I know he's a big talker, says he can do stuff, he's not really going to do it. I think the whole purchase of Twitter was a joke. I don't mean literally a joke, but it's kind of like he just kind of like goofing around on online, like, hey, I should buy Twitter. Next thing you know, they got this thing going on. Then he's like trying to back out. Then he's talking about, oh, the bots, this bots thing, and what? Now they trying to sue him, you know. And then he just, oh, I'm gonna do it. And then he says, oh, he's doing it because he's trying to help the planet or something like that. Then why were you trying to back out? Right? You're one of the richest people in the world. If you really wanted to help the planet, you would have been doing it for a very, very long time. Think about having billions of dollars and wanting to help the planet. And yet, instead of doing that, all you've been doing is enriching yourself and doing things for you, right? You talk about this, and it's ironic. Again, you see the inconsistency of people's reasoning skills with convenient narratives and inconvenient narratives, right? Right wingers will tell you, and it's not like they just totally lies, right? There's a kernel of truth. They talk about the reality of electric cars. Oh, electric cars is going to save the planet, right? And because they are in a bubble of just pointing the finger and like pointing, what's wrong with this, rather than solutions, just like that sucks, that sucks. So they're very aware of the problems with the argument about electric cars. Where are we going to make these batteries? The places and the process of making these batteries, what's that doing in the environment? Right? If everyone's driving electric cars, how are we charging these cars? Where's that power coming from that's charging the cars? Right now, it's just a small amount of cars. If everyone's driving electrical, that's a lot of cars that need to be charged, right? What's the power sources that's going to charge all these cars? That's a massive change in terms of how we do things with electricity, right? To go from just a little bit of electric cars to a lot of them, right? These are valid questions, right? They're not using a good faith way from the right, because again, the right's perspective is just to, this is wrong and that's wrong, right? So the problem is, the left is talking about saving the environment, they're talking about electric cars. So the right's response is, let's point out all the flaws, right? But the reality is, again, kernels of truth to it. Elon Musk, as a typical billionaire, talked a lot of narrative about his vision for these cars and the planet, but his actions betray the reality of what he's saying, right? Elon's actions do not demonstrate that he cares very much about the planet, right? And the flaws with electric cars in terms of addressing that, and his lack of any sort of interest at all in resolving these issues, answering these questions that a lot of right wingers are asking, right? What is Elon's response to the flaws about electric cars being the savior to the planet? Of course, he doesn't want to talk about that because his goal is not saving the planet. It never has been. He doesn't have a track record of that, right? This guy is a typical billionaire, manipulative schemer, shall we say. So I don't believe any stuff he says. Freedom of speech, BS. Saving the planet, BS. It's some kind of charitable thing, BS. Right? I didn't just come to this country yesterday. We've heard all this stuff before. We know how the billionaire class operates, right? We know how the elites operate, and you can't be more elite than one of the richest men in the world. The irony is apparently lost on a lot of people in this country of a certain ideology. The next thing why I say I would short sell Twitter is because he's got himself in a bind, right? First of all, it looks like he didn't really want to buy Twitter. He ended up being forced into buying it, essentially. Of course, that's not the way he's going to present it, right? He's very, very good at manipulating things and wording things. You want a good laugh? Look at the presentation for his robot. His robot, I think, is a good representation of like Elon Musk, the scam artist. I had not laughed so much in quite a while until I saw the robot video. The first presentation he does, this robot dancing around all smooth, and I'm like, whoa, that seems a little bit too advanced. It's almost like a guy in a suit. Surely enough, it was a guy in a robot suit, similar to what you'd see in a 1980s sci-fi movie. Okay. And then the robot that he demonstrates, so he has all these videos that are edited, right? Super edited, which show, and the robots are doing the most basic tasks. Like, we're in a generation where we have robots, robot dogs that can jump and do all kinds of stuff, right? Boston Robotics, right? And he's showing a video of a robot doing like the most basic stuff, but yet it's super edited, right? Like, we're in a stage where the robotic technology is such that you wouldn't need to do all those edits, right? We have technology where you'd expect, like, you say, hey, Mr. Robot, pick up the cup, and he just picks up the cup, and it's like one shot, right? But he's got all these different, different cuts. You can see that there's a big jump in time, right? And the robot's just doing the most basic thing, lifting up like a bottle or something. And then he puts a robot on stage when he debuts this robot. The robot does nothing even remotely close to what we see in the video. So again, the video just shows the most basic task in 2022, whenever it was 2021, maybe lifting up a can or something, right? But yet he couldn't even demonstrate that most basic sort of crude task. The robot he had on stage looked like something from, was it, what's Will Robinson space, what, Lost in Space, like back in the day, right? Where it's like like I'm like, yo, are you serious? Like this guy comes out, what's up, Andres? Um this guy comes like all this talk, oh, revolutionary. You're talking about putting chips in people's brains and all this kind of stuff, right? And he brings out a robot that all it does is like just like, and then the other one he had out, there were like 3 4 people like trying to hold it from falling down. I'm like, bro, you're a scam artist, man. Like the whole like, and you remember the bulletproof glass of the thing, and he smashes through, like, and people, they won't see this, right? When your feelings get involved, right, you can't think straight. So no matter how obvious it is that this guy is full of it, people who are captivated by him in his cult, they don't see it, right? So I see this pattern of behavior, and then I see also what he's doing right now. He's doing one thing that's very smart, pandering to the right wing, right? If I didn't have any integrity and I was somebody like him, I would definitely target the right wing, right? That's because that's like easy, right? All I got to do is say all the talking points, CRT, woke, 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 and I'll become like an instant superhero overnight. Especially if I have a more liberal background, they're going to be even more excited. And I just keep feeding them, stuff on Twitter, social media, whatever. Like, yeah, they woke stuff and these Democrats, right? Just keep feeding them and they'll just eat it all up, right? And then once I have that level of control over them, I'd be able to manipulate them for whatever scheme, right? I mean, you have millions of people that will make excuses for you, that'll back you up, that will buy any product that you have. And all it takes is just some very, very super easy pandering. You don't have to be really clever, right? Not really a lot of creativity. Just literally, like, look at all the stuff that you see right when he's talking about, and you're a big celebrity, right? And you have a liberal background, and you just say whatever it is they're talking about. Oh, M&Ms are gay, or I don't know why, I don't care what your sexuality is, right? What you do in your bedroom is your business. But you know what? I refuse to call people by all these pronouns and whatever, right? Why should I be? And I mean, like, just say that stuff and keep whatever it is. Like, just follow a lot of right wingers in social media, see what's getting the most clicks, right? You sort of launder it so it's more palatable. Like, if they're gonna say some crazy extreme stuff, so you just kind of water it down a little bit, right? So you get the credit of like giving them the nod, but you got the deniability. Like, no, I didn't say all that, right? So I would totally go down that route if I had no integrity and I was Elon Musk. So on that level, he is absolutely correct. However, I think he has bitten off more than he can chew. Yet again, he has a track record of this. If you really like him, you're going to focus on only when he succeeds. If you don't like him, obviously you'll focus only when he fails. I focus on all. I look at the successes and the failures and the overall pattern. So I feel like he's bought a business that's really struggling. He paid way too much for it. And in the same token, he's now pandering to the right wing. So there's this audience capture thing going on where, and especially all this like freedom of speech stuff. So it puts him in an awkward situation because he can't make Twitter what a lot of right wingers believe he will or would like him to. Like, he's not doing it as a charity. He's a greedy billionaire like all other billionaires. So the focus is on profits, obviously. For those of us that aren't gullible, right? That goal is conflicting with the illusion that he's painted to his followers, right? The Twitter that they want, he can't deliver. So right now, I guess he has a little bit of time where he can sort of it's kind of like, it's kind of a, what's the word, the quiet before the storm type of thing where, well, I just started, right? So like letting a lot of stuff go. People are saying all kinds of stuff. He's not really doing a lot of censorship or whatever. So essentially, he's giving them um, a lot of the right wingers what they expect or what they want. But he can't continue doing this for long. Sooner or later, he's got to transition from fantasy to reality. And reality means, as far as moderation, similar to what was being done before, he has to do. The good thing for him is because he has this audience that is so captivated by him, he can get away with a lot of cheap tricks. So he can do the same censorship, but add a little twist to it, so it's not as aggressive, and he can talk around things and deflect and die. I mean, he's got control over like a major social media platform, so he has a lot of power to control the conversation. Obviously, no matter what he does, left wing is going to go after him, liberals are going to go after him. So that's not going to change. But to the audience that he has captured, um, he can sort of wiggle around. But from a business perspective, this can't work. The company's already struggling. And now you got somebody who, rather than focusing on business and making things right, is playing games, pandering to an ideology of this group, which that's great and all, and you could use that to make a lot of money from, but it conflicts with business, with the rules of business. You have this website, this business Twitter, which is not really going to be very tolerant of this games that he's playing. Like, you've got to get serious and you've got to fix Twitter and make it to where it's profitable. And you can't do that and also, you know, continue to do the right wing pander thing, right? So at some point in time, there's going to be a conflict. And while he's dancing around, like, you need to be all in, focus on business to fix it. So any sort of watered down, like kind of like because you're playing games, is going to be a disastrous for Twitter in my view. Um, so I think also there's the human nature, ego. He's got all these people that are worshiping him at this point. I mean, he already had cult following. Now I think it's on another level. So I think he's going to get a little bit full of himself. And what's the expression? Getting over his heels or something. So I think he's going to find himself a little bit lost and struggle to fix the problem and play the game. And he's going to have all these people that just agree with anything he says. So that's also going to get him lost as well. So he's going to be headed down a bad path. And rather than being corrected, he's going to have people just nodding their heads and like, yeah, Elon, he's doing it, right? So that's going to blind him. He's going to get a lot of noise coming from these people following him, his existing cult followers, his new right-wing cult followers. So they're going to also contribute to the problem, sort of an echo chamber. And while all this is going on, again, the rules of business remain, right? You have costs and you have profit goals that you're trying to achieve. And again, these conflict with the nonsense. And then his erratic behavior, and so sort of again thinking he's greater than he is, and oh, I'm just gonna do a subscription model, $8, and we got this fixed. We just got to remove the woke, and all the money starts coming in. I'm very, very pessimistic. Nothing to do with ideology. I don't care. You want to pan it right wing, that's on him. Whatever. It's not nothing about that. I'm just looking at the writing on the wall. I'm looking at his track record. I'm looking at his history. I'm looking at the complication of just Twitter. It's a complicated thing. No matter, take all this stuff aside, it will be tough to make Twitter profitable. So dealing with something that's challenging in general, and then you have a guy who's just like caught up in himself and his cult following and playing games and pandering, and that just spells disaster. um there's also the destruction to the workforce, right? Probably got a lot of liberals working there. They're probably not very happy of him taking over. So that's not a good formula for success in terms of teamwork and camaraderie. So what do you do? Clean house and just like fire everyone? Okay, so you have a complicated thing with this company in terms of trying to get it profitable. And then you're going to do something that will be very damaging to just about any business where you're firing most of your workers. You have knowledge transfer issues. You have potential sabotage to deal with. Then you got new people coming in who don't have the history, don't know the background. They're trying to get up to speed, and then you have a lot of morale issues. People that are leaving. You have programmers that leave, and then they take with them knowledge, and you try to hire some new guy who maybe some fancy I'm a super programmer, I'm going to fix everything, but doesn't really understand what he's really getting into, right? Because I mean, this is the code base for Twitter has got to be insane. They've been working on this for a very long time. You can't just jump in there and like, oh, I'm going to fix everything, right? It's a big undertaking, and while he's fooling around, right, the stock market is doing what it's doing. The company is doing what it's doing. Profits are going where they're going. I don't think it's a very positive thing. So I think it's going to be a very, very rough road. Um, Elon being the head of Twitter, I think, is very, very bad for Twitter. And will this be the end of Twitter? I'm on the fence. He could take it to the ground, but what's more likely going to happen is he's going to struggle for some time, and then he's going to find a sucker to sell it to. But that sucker might not actually be a sucker, because nobody's buying Twitter for anywhere near what he paid for it. So if the right person jumps in while Twitter is sinking, and they're pretty bright and they're focused, they're not goofing around like him, they could do really well, because they could get it at a big discount, because Elon might be desperate to offload this sinking ship. And I don't know, that's tough with ego though, because it's tough to like spend whatever you spend, like 40 billion, and then sell it for like 20 or 15. I mean, that's a big hit. But I what are you going to do? Like, it's sinking ship. You've been trying different things. It's not really working out. You're just bleeding money. You have other businesses to run, right? It's not going to be easy, and that's probably gonna make him take longer than he should. He's probably gonna he's probably gonna be like on the fence about selling it, and then like still try to like because he's the reality of what he's gonna get for it is gonna be like scary. So like, no, let's try this, let's try that, and he's gonna make it even worse, because the longer he keeps Twitter on a bad path, I think it's gonna be more damaging to the company. Um, but maybe someone can jump in and make it profitable. Whoever it is, it's not going to be easy. That's why I said it's problematic. It's not that Elon is just an idiot. It's that this is a difficult task, and it needs someone who's focused and serious, not somebody goofing around. and playing all this like pandering to right wingers and whatever, and oh, it's not gonna be a hellscape, and then he makes it a hellscape, and he's part of the hellscape. You know what I mean? Like, and then doesn't even own up, like tweeting nonsense, and then you delete it, and like, God, like that's yeah, that ain't it, man. So I'm definitely bearish on Twitter. I would definitely. This is one of the first stocks because selling short is very risky. Because if I'm wrong and Twitter goes up significantly, you can lose a lot of money because the amount of losses you can take are infinite, basically. Because the more the price goes up, the more my losses, and there's no limit to how high the price can go, right? Twitter could go up to $300 a share, 500 a share, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. There's no limit, right? And whatever the price goes up to, that's how much I'm gonna have to pay to close out my position, right? That's how selling short works. So if you go and you short sell something, right? Either you have like hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, you got a ton of cash where you could take the losses, or you're playing a dangerous game. So you got to really be pessimistic about something, and I'm very very pessimistic about Twitter. I think I have enough information to make that kind of assessment and be very strong on it because again, track record, all of these variables, and it's just not looking good. None of that stuff is looking positive for the company. So yeah, um, I haven't decided, but I'm possibly gonna sell short on Twitter because I don't see it going in a positive direction. And again, it may survive. I'm not saying it's gonna be the end of Twitter, but I don't think. I think it's gonna be a rough road, and overall, it's gonna be not a positive thing. Anyway, those are my comments on Twitter. Let's see what's in the chat. I got Michael in the house, Andrews in the house. Twitter is not an exchange and he is not on the exchange anymore. No one can short him. He just delivered on buying Twitter. Um, strongest and clearest, strongest and cleanest of all. Can you stop dodging like a weasel, almost in full context, and why Kirk's incorrect things or out of context things? Um, and you just want to be here, hear yourself talk. Another thing you keep validating. Well, well, what can I say, man? Um, I got a little Elon Musk in me. Anyway, on that note, this is the Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I'm gonna run before Michael Gallup asks me a difficult question that I don't want to end. So I'm just gonna end the live stream to avoid that situation, right? Because that's how we get down. Jock says you shouldn't like hearing your. All right, Jock, I gotta run because Michael Gallup is here and he's gonna ask you some questions I don't want to answer. So I'm gonna run away because I got a little bit of Jordan Peterson in me, so I don't want to start crying and then he's gonna hurt my feelings and I'm gonna have to like block him because he's like, oh, you said mean things to me. I don't want Michael Gallup to comment my channel anymore because he's saying all these things and I don't know. I'm just doing videos. I'm trying to help people and Michael Gallup just comes and he says these things and he's attacking me and it's not right and this platform allows these people to do this. Just because he doesn't agree with me, he's allowed to come in here and say these mean things. So I gotta block him. All right, guys, that's enough of that. This is Baby Channel. Baby in the comment section below. Click the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Good to see you, Jock. And I'm out. Dodge, 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 deflect, dodge, deflect.